So what we're talking about today is the rest of the process tools. So last week we covered work plans and checklists, and this time we're going to go through the rest of the tools, and I'm going to kind of talk about how to use them, when to use them, and some strategies for using them. So let's go to a process, and I can get to a process either by going right here on the side nav to one of the 4 key functions where I want to find my process, or I could also go here to the organization chart and choose a job description that that process is on. So we're going to go here to doing the business and back to this customer complaint process. So this is called the Process Tools page, and this is where all the templates are that you'll use to document your processes. You'll see every one of my processes, every one of my tools is being used here. That's kind of not typical, so I just wanted to point that out. Usually when you document a process, you may have a work plan and a form, and you may have a work plan, a form, and a script. But it's kind of unusual that you would use every single tool when documenting one particular process. Mine is just this way because we're going through examples. So last week we talked about work plans. And just as a reminder, work plans are right here at the top. And a work plan is meant to be the step-by-step set of instructions, tasks, to-do items that need to be followed in order to achieve the results of the process. The work plan's the tool you're going to use the most. Every one of your processes should have a work plan. There are some situations where maybe you have a process that's got just resource information in it or a manual of some kind that isn't going to be put into a work plan for whatever reason, so that would be an exception to that. But the good rule of thumb is to think that every process should have a work plan because that becomes like the main training tool, the main tool that you would use to articulate the steps. You may have multiple work plans in a process like you're seeing here. So this is a customer complaint processing work plan, which goes through the steps of how you process a complaint. And then this one is a work plan on just general customer complaint guidelines. So expectations or tasks or things for training purposes. A work plan, a process could have more than one work plan in it if there's actually more than one workflow. So there's more than one thing that happens in the process. So you could have a work plan on processing the customer complaint, and then you could have a whole other work plan on following up after complaints. So you want to think about what happens within this process, and are there multiple workflows that would be best separated into multiple work plans, or is there just one series of things that happens that has a beginning and an end, and therefore one work plan? Next tool down, we talked about this one last week, but I'll just touch on it briefly. This is a checklist. So the checklist tool is used for quality control. It's used when you need evidence that the steps of the process have been completed, they've been followed. So if the process has that kind of needs, so for management purposes, you need some evidence that these steps have actually been done. Sometimes you're dealing with a process it's very complex and there's lots of moving parts to it, and the employee needs to remember what they've done and haven't done. So it might be for the employee's purposes so they can track what's happened, or it could be for management purposes. So the managers know that the steps have been done. Next tool down is called a script. So what a script is for documenting a conversation. So it's for documenting any kind of verbal interaction. So if the process has a conversation in it, it has frequently asked questions, it has a verbal interaction, something needs to be explained verbally, then the script tool is a great template for that. I'll show you an example up here. In this work plan, we get to step number 5 here, and it says that this is not a warranty issue and the employee or simply a job was not done well, try to resolve it using the provide a solution script. So in the work plan, we're referencing the script. In the work plan, we're not documenting the conversation or listing questions and putting in the responses. The best place for that type of documentation is in the script tool itself. So when you're in a work plan and you get to a place where someone needs to make a phone call, they need to answer questions verbally, then go build a script, and then in the work plan, hyperlink it, hyperlink the script from a task. The reason this is it's better to do it this way is oftentimes employees will be trained in a process, and I'll know the tasks, but then when I get to, especially if it's a phone call, if I get to a place where I have to make this phone call, I'll just call up the script. And I don't need it buried inside the tasks of the work plan. I just go right to the script itself, and then I can follow the prompts of the script and kind of know where I am in the conversation. So to build a script, it's the same way as the work plans and the checklist here. I just click the title and then put in the name of the script. Then you can put in the purpose of it. That's what the objective is for. So think about, what is the purpose of this script? So maybe it's to resolve the customer complaints. And then you hit create, and then the script appears. So the minute I build the script title, I probably go right back to the work plan here and hyperlink it. So the hyperlinks, you just click, just to remind everyone, you just highlight the link word, and then you go to this hyperlink tool. And if you were linking to a script, you'd hit the link type drop down, go to a script, find it. So this is a list of all my scripts so far. And then you hit insert, and then this becomes the link, and save it. So the minute you put in the title of the script, then go back and link it to the work plan. Somebody's probably going to be able to prove me wrong, but I would be safe in saying that you would never have a script in a process without a work plan. So a process would never just contain a script. And the reason is you want to give someone the steps of the beginning and the after of when they're using that script. So call even if it's call the customer, use this script, make notes in the CRM. So even if it's 3 tasks long, you still want to give them some reference for the script itself. So the script template looks like this. This functionality above you're going to see for all the process tools, and we went over this last time. But just here briefly, this allows you to move a process tool from one process to another. That's what this icon's for. This is the export arrow, print, email. This is the archive. So we archive a lot of scripts because the conversations change and get better, hopefully. And sometimes you want to remember maybe a way that you used to address something, so you can archive the script and then recover it later. This is the delete. So in the script template, there's 2 columns to it. The prompt right here, and then the script. So the prompt is the explanation of what's happening. The script are the words that are actually spoken. So you're giving some context for the words over here. You're giving some explanation for when, why, where, what they should be thinking about, or what situation they're in when they say the words over here. So to start to build this, I just click where it says Add Script Item, and I click open the prompt field. And so this would be a greeting. That's sometimes where scripts start. Or it could be a question that's being asked. And then I would save it. And then I'd go to here the script side. And if it was a greeting, I'd say, hi, thanks for calling. Or however you answer the phone. If you're calling someone, you want to say, hi, this is so-and-so. This is why I'm calling. If it was a question, then you'd put the answer right here. So these are the actual words that are spoken. You want to write this out like a conversation, like I would actually say it. And then you'd go to the next script item. So if this was the greeting, then this is what you'd say next. So maybe this is a question you ask them, or if you've asked them a question up here, you could even put things like listen right here. And then over here, you could say, yes, I'm listening. So think about how the conversation goes and then do the back and forth of the conversation. This is all drag and drop, just like the other tools, so I can pull these items up and down. It's all click to edit, so I click this and open it. All these toolbar items are the same that you're used to in the other tools. So let's talk about the different types of scripts and kind of some strategies around building scripts. So there are usually two different types of scripts that I would see. One, and this is an example, is called a conversational script. So this is where you're having a conversation with another person, where it typically starts with a greeting, and then you're going through the if-thens and the questions of that conversation all the way to the end here where you end the conversation. So if someone's having to explain something verbally to another person, particularly a customer, if they're having to make a phone call and deal with something like this, providing a solution for customer complaints, if you're in a service business and you're delivering some type of service, either in person or over the phone, then scripting of this type can be really useful for training to kind of show someone how the conversation goes. Sales processes, a lot of your sales processes should have scripts in them if you sell in a verbal fashion. And all industries deal with this. A lot of times it starts with being on the phone, and then it could shift to an in-person, then it could end with another phone call. So anytime there's a conversation that happens that has a result you're trying to achieve, then a script like this one, a conversational script, can be useful. So you'll see, like in the prompt here, I've got greeting, and then over here, hi, can you tell me about your problem? This is an example of a prompt of like what you want the person to be thinking about before they say what's over here. Listen and reflect back what the customer is saying. And you can put in little notes like this. This is still something someone would say. So I hear you. I see what you're saying is, yes, I see how that's a problem. So just these little verbal cues to kind of let the customer know that you're listening. Confirm that they understand. So you're going through the conversation. Then in the script, you can do if-then statements like these. So if the customer is complaining because it took too long, then give them a discount on their next purchase. And then over here, may I offer you a discount on your next purchase? So you're giving some context for it here, giving it an if-then. Then you could do another if-then. If they accept the discount, then do this. Then say this, I mean. You can also have hyperlinks to other things in the script. So this is an example of at a point in the conversation where they're providing a solution, the customer's accepted it, and now I need to enter those notes somewhere so that they get their discount. So rather than like repeating the steps of how to do that right here in the script, which wouldn't be appropriate, we've just made a link to this process called entering notes into the CRM. So when I click this link, it takes me here to this process. This is in running the business in the IT sub-function, CRM how-tos, and then they could see the steps for entering notes if they needed to. So the conversational scripts can typically go in if-then kind of situations all the way to the end of the conversation. The value of doing something like this is you can provide a training to employees that haven't done this before. You can give them knowledge, experience in the script. So I may be a customer service person through trial and error who's learned how to handle complaints fabulously, but it took me 5 years to gather all that information. And I may do that really well. But that's not to say that you'd hire a brand new person and they would be able to come in and do the same thing. They need some training. And so the power of a script, the power of documentation, is that I can take all that 5 years of experience and I can put it into a documented format, into a script. And then I can take the new employee and have them memorize and train them in this script. And then it's going to be consistent, it's going to be thorough, and every time somebody calls with a complaint, it's going to be handled in exactly the same way because that way works. People aren't going to be making it up as they go along. It's going to all be here. So again, the value of these conversational scripts is that you can take years of experience in some cases, put it into written format, and someone who follows along can answer questions and can guide someone from the beginning to the end. Another powerful thing about scripts is they help keep employees on track when they're in difficult conversations, like in sales processes, for example. There is an agenda that a salesperson would have, and it could be to close the deal, it could be to set the appointment, whatever the purpose is, that would go up here in the objective. So their purpose, let's say, is to set the appointment. So they're going through a conversational script like this one with all kinds of clues and techniques in the prompt area that's guiding the lead to say yes to the appointment. And there are techniques for doing that your salespeople or yourself have learned over the years. And if you can put those techniques into the script, then suddenly you have this way of accelerating the training of your salespeople, which is an amazing thing to do. If they follow along, then they'll get the appointment. Now, there are always variable situations that come up. And this is the biggest yeah, but I hear about scripting a lot. Well, they don't always say it that way. Or, well, the customer doesn't always have these kinds of problems. Or, well, the customer could always say anything, and I don't even know what it is they could say, so there's no way I could build a script for it. So I've heard this endlessly over and over again. Some of that is true. We do deal with variable situations. And there are situations where you get thrown a curveball and suddenly the script doesn't even make sense anymore. But I'm here to say that those are variable. Those aren't routine. So those are things that sometimes happen. Those aren't things that always happen. So in documentation in general, you want to look for the routine. You want to look for what's consistent. You want to look for the best case scenario and build it that way. There may be variable situations that come up, but 80% of the time they don't. The reason we think they do is because the variable situation kind of is what you think about, because it's top of mind for you. You don't really remember how routine the rest of it is. So even in the most variable of situations, build what's routine, build what's consistent, because that's what happens 80% of the time or 90% of the time. A technique you can use to deal with the variable situations are in scripting are frequently asked questions scripts. So that's the second kind of script. So if you have a workflow script, and this is providing a solution, this one, and if somebody follows it from beginning to end, they can 90% of the time resolve the customer's issue. But there are always these variable situations where they're asking questions and they're saying things that sometimes happen and sometimes are asked and sometimes they aren't. So how you handle those things is with a frequently asked questions script. So the prompt is the question, and then the script is the answer. So here's an example. When will the manager get back to me? Within 24 hours. Prompt is the question, script is the answer. Then you go to the next question answer. These don't go in any particular order. They're not meant to be because they're variable. They're things that may or may not happen. So here's another one, a situation that's occurring and what the verbal answer to that is. Like, customer is still unhappy with the solution you are providing. And then this is what you would say. So you wouldn't need to put something like this into the workflow script, because if they're not saying that, then you don't want to respond to it. You don't want to bring it up. Another common frequently asked question, like in sales processes, is like, this is too expensive. Well, what's the answer to that? So you want to think about these variable or these questions that are sometimes asked, and then put them into a frequently asked questions script. So the idea would be that someone could follow this providing a solution script and 80–90% of the time kind of guide someone from the beginning to the end to where they were happy with the resolution to their complaint, or they set the appointment, or they bought what you were selling. And then for all the variable situations, you have this frequently asked questions, which gives people answers to things that kind of can throw you off. These frequently asked questions scripts can grow over time as well. So you could sit with your sales team or sit with your customer service people and kind of hammer out everything all the different things that they have heard, all the crazy things, all the weird situations, all the ways customers have gotten angry, whatever it is. List them all out in prompts and build the solutions over here. This is a great team exercise, like with a sales team or a customer service team or a team of technicians or a team of service people. What are all the different weird things that have happened over time regarding this topic, customer complaints, and how have you answered those things in the best way? How are you able to resolve them? And you list all those things out. And then you tell that team, over time, we want to develop this. We want this to be our knowledge base for like all the sales techniques that this company has learned over time, or all the customer service techniques that we have dealt with and people and how we've resolved situations. And so every week you're asking your team to add to the script and add to the script and add to the script. You can make a game of it. So what crazy thing did you hear this week? And then the manager could list it out and then write it into the script. If you think about your frequently asked questions and you're scripting this way, you're going to capture all the experience from all those employees who are learning things on your time while you're paying them. If you don't do this, they learn things on your time while you're paying them, and then they walk away sometimes. And all that knowledge and information walks away with them. So this is about building your training and capturing all that money you've spent on people making mistakes and putting it into a process, putting it into documentation where others can learn from it. So for scripting, workflow script, that's one kind, and then also frequently asked questions. You can have a frequently asked questions script without having a workflow script, but I would say if you have a workflow script, conversational script, you should always have a frequently asked questions as well, because these two kind of go together. In a way, this one, the frequently asked question, fills in for the deficits of this one, the conversational script. Okay, let's talk about uploaded files next. So what the Uploaded Files tool does is it allows you to upload documents to TouchStone. So anything that's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or a PDF document, you can take that whole document and upload it to the process. So you want to use this tool if you have a document or a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint that you want to keep in that original format. So you want it to stay in that software format. So to upload a file, you give the file a name, then you hit Choose File. My desktop's a mess right now. You choose the document you want to upload. So this is a spreadsheet I'm choosing. And then I hit Open, and then I hit Create File. Now TouchStone has taken a copy of that file from my desktop, this spreadsheet here, and uploaded it to TouchStone. So you can see it right down here. If I hit View File, I'm going to go to this one. If I hit View File right here, now TouchStone's going to launch this file in whatever software format it was uploaded in. So you'll see down here at the bottom of my screen, Word is opened. And now when I click it, it's opening this customer complaint form, which is in a Word document. So once a file is uploaded, you'll see the title. And if you hit View File, then TouchStone will launch that file and open it in that software. So Word is open right now on my computer, and this file is here in Word. If I was to make an edit to this file, or if I was to change it, these changes, this word I just typed in, is not in TouchStone right now. It's in Word in this file or this form that I've opened. So if you make a change to an uploaded file, you want to go File, Save As, save it back to your computer, then go here to this Edit pencil, click Edit, and then replace this old one with the new one. So hit Choose File, Go to that new file, hit open, and then save it. So this is the thing to remember about uploaded files. If you make a change to that file, then you want to re-upload the file, replace the old one with the new one. So common uses for these uploaded files, the uploaded files tool would be, number one, if you have a spreadsheet. So if you have a spreadsheet that's used in the process that needs to do calculations, there isn't another tool in TouchStone that acts like a spreadsheet. So that would need to be an uploaded file. Also, if you have like a PDF manual of some kind, so PDF, that's an acceptable file type. Some companies that deal with equipment or vehicles or machines, they may have an instruction manual that you want to upload. You know, or maybe in a service process, you've got a manual of like different strategies or techniques, and it's in a manual format. You want to keep it in that format, then you just upload the whole PDF. If you've got PowerPoint presentations, people are kind of moving away from PowerPoint presentations, but if you do, then upload that whole PowerPoint presentation. If it's a document, a Word document, just think about that document and decide if it could be in one of the other tools. So if it's a Word document that's full of text, like you've written a step-by-step set of instructions on how to do something in Word, and you're uploading that document, just rethink that at some point and decide, can I cut and paste it into a work plan and make it into the TouchStone tools or templates? The benefit of using our templates is that you have consistency in your documentation. There are a lot of other tricks and things that you can do with the templates in addition to that, but the number one thing is you want things to look and feel the same. And you want, when one person is editing and creating a work plan, you want it to look the same as when another person has done it. And the issue in Word is that, you know, people do it in different ways, and so the documentation looks different. Plus, you have to deal with this loading and then editing and then reloading, where you don't have that issue in the work plans. Another tool to use for actual text that's in a work plan or forms in a work plan like this one is the document tool. So I'll explain that when we get to the document tool next. So use the uploaded files. If you've got really essential, important forms, contracts, spreadsheets, things like that that are used in the process, and you want people to be able to know that if they go to TouchStone and they go to the customer complaint process, that they're going to see the most current version of this form or the most current version of that spreadsheet. If you use the upload files like this, it becomes really useful because employees will always know where to go to find those things, and you can direct them to go to TouchStone to find them. The issue a lot of us have with networks and storing these important forms and files on networks is that people then go and do a save as, and then suddenly you have multiple versions of the same file or form, and nobody knows what the most current version is. So keeping those things in TouchStone can be a useful way to use the uploaded files tool. So let's go down to the document tool. So the document tool, I'm just going to make a new document. The document tool is like a blank Word document. That's what we call it, a document. If I click in here, it's going to open, and you'll see it kind of looks like a blank Word document. So the document tool is the most customizable of all the tools, really, and it's here to kind of serve multiple purposes. If you have a form like this one that you want to use in TouchStone, you can cut and paste it into the document tool if you like that. You can also, for a form like this one, you can also use the custom form tool, which we're going to cover here in a second. But if you do want the form into the document tool, you don't like the custom form tool or whatever the issue is with that, you can always cut and paste. You can use this to upload pictures. So if you have a picture that you want to be 8.5 by 11, so a big picture, you can hit choose file, hit insert image, and then that picture will fill the screen if it's that big. Sometimes bigger pictures, if you put them into the task of a work plan, then it kind of messes up your work plan and it looks way bigger than it needs to be. So with those bigger pictures that you want people to view, be able to view 8.5 by 11, you can put it into the document tool and then hyperlink it to the task if you want. This is also just a text field, so this is just flat text. So I could write a letter here. I could put in paragraphs of information on something that doesn't fit into the other tools for whatever reason. I could make a list of things if I wanted to. So use this document tool to kind of handle anything that doesn't fit into the other tools for whatever reason. I've got a document tool right here. This is my client service statistics. So you can make a list of things like this. If it's not really tasks or expectations that you would put in a work plan, you could build the list here, just things to be thinking about or things to know. And then you insert images. That's what this looks like down here. So that is the document tool. Next tool down is called the custom form tool. And this is the newest of our tools. The custom form tool allows you to create web forms. So what I mean by web forms is that they're best used on the internet or inside of TouchStone in this example. So these types of forms are used on the dashboard over here. So employees would log into TouchStone. They'd go immediately to their dashboard. That's where it would take them. Then they would select. They would have these processes assigned that they're responsible for. They would select the form, and then these fields are all live, and they'd go and fill it out. And then they save it back to TouchStone. And then they or their manager could run a report right here and see a list of the forms that they had completed in TouchStone. So this form tool is for collecting information about the process, either for quality control or verification purposes. You can use this kind of form when you need information about what happened while someone was completing the process. So to build a custom form, it's same as the other tools. I just click the title right here, and then I put in the name of the form. Then I hit create. If I ever want to edit the name of any tool, and if I didn't point this out before, you just click it and it'll open and you can edit the title right here. So 9 times out of 10 in TouchStone, when you want to edit something, if you just hover over it, it's going to turn a different color, and then you click it and it opens right for you to edit. So this form's got multiple pieces or parts of it that you can build. A short answer is for, it gives you like a short title. So if I hit short answer, I could put in like somebody's name right here, and then I hit save, and then it creates this little name field. So this is about like a phrase. It's for 1 or 2 words that you would want someone to fill in. If I want to edit this after I've created it, I just click right on it, and the field options pops up again. So I could change this title to something else, and then I hit save again, and then it changes the title. So if you have a short answer question, you can put the question up here, and then it creates this little field. If I have a longer question I want to ask, I use the paragraph. So then in the title field, I could type in notes or comments that I want someone to make, and then I hit save, and then this is a bigger field. So this will go on for paragraphs and paragraphs. It expands as I start to type into it. Where we are now is where we're building the form. Where we use it is over here on the dashboard. And before we end today, I'm going to go through and give you an example of using these forms in the dashboard. You can have multiple choice. So I click multiple choice. This could, then you ask a question, like what happened? Or how did it go? And you put in options, good, fair, poor. So you give options to, or choices for them to choose. If I want to add another choice, I just hit the plus sign underneath the last choice. So this becomes then another choice. You can add as many choices as you want just by hitting the plus sign. I can reorder the choices just by pulling them up and pulling them down, so adjusting the order. I can delete the choices by hitting the little negative sign next to that choice, so that choice is gone. And then when I hit save, this is what it looks like. So the multiple choice allows them to choose one answer. So that's what multiple choice is. They choose one. They can't choose multiple of these when they complete it on the dashboard. If you want people to be able to choose multiple choices or options, then use the check boxes. So here's check boxes. So this would be the question you would ask, and then the choices. You give options for the choices. Again, I can add more checklist boxes here. I can delete them, and I hit save. Then you see these little checks appear. So when you go to complete this in the dashboard, people can check off multiple check boxes. Someone's asking how the forms are used. So I'm going to make that crystal clear towards the end. They're used over here in the dashboard. So when we first log into TouchStone, you're taken right to that dashboard, and this is the front end of TouchStone. So when employees log in, managers log in, anyone logs in, they go right to the dashboard, and then they're going to see their control panel, which contains all the processes that they're responsible for. So then they would go right to the customer complaint process, and then they would choose the form, and they can fill out the form right there. These forms can be printed. So if I hit the export arrow, you can email it, print it to a PDF, or print it directly. This is kind of what it looks like in a PDF. Really, these forms are they're web forms, so they're meant to be completed in TouchStone. Because you see, once I export this, the notes field is only so long. And it's a PDF, so you can't type directly into it. So you can export it and have people fill it out this way if you like and have a paper copy, but I would do anything you can to think of how not to do it that way. Because you're printing things, first of all, and then you're back to, the Stone Ages where we have binders full of things and papers all over. So I understand that sometimes things need to be printed, so I'm not totally making fun of it. But what I would print more is the completed form over here on the dashboard, and I'll show you how to do that. I wouldn't print this form and have people handwrite it out. I certainly wouldn't have it in Word and have them filling it out in Word and then saving it in some random file. I mean, that's just creating more paper chaos. And one of the reasons you have TouchStone is so it can happen all electronically inside of TouchStone. So another choice is drop down. So when you've got a question that has a lot of answers to it, you can create a drop down, and what that does is it just makes more space on the form. So if I hit a plus sign, then I'd have D. So I have multiple choices here for people to make. And then when I save this, it's creating it in this little drop down right here. So it just makes your form a little tighter rather than listing it out like this is doing. It's just making a drop down for someone to choose. You can also do things like this, where if you have a series of questions here, yes, no, maybe, you can add another paragraph and say, if, maybe, state why, something like that. And then I save it, and then I can drag this up here. So then they see it right under the options here, and then there's a space for them to fill in why. So play around with these forms. It's kind of fun to build these, and it's even better to get people to use them. If you have any kind of a process where information is lost, or you're asking, well, what happened? Well, when did that happen? And you need that kind of information, then think about using the custom form tool. Also remember that the whole dashboard is mobile compliant. So I can log into this on my phone. I can create a Google bookmark as well, which puts a little icon on your phone. And then when you use Google, you can save usernames and passwords with just one click. So it acts just like an app. It saves you a step of having to download some kind of app from your playlist. And you got the little icon on your phone. They click it, it opens, they hit log in because their username and password's already filled in, and then boom, it goes right to the dashboard. Then on their phones, they can fill out these forms and save them, and then it all gets saved back to TouchStone. So in your car, in the field, at someone's house, wherever you are, these forms can be used. These forms are great for management processes as well. So like in the one-on-one meeting process that we have a sample agenda in a form. So a manager, when you're preparing for a department meeting or you're preparing for a one-on-one meeting or a performance review meeting, you can build the agenda right here into the form and then save it back to TouchStone, have it open, and then build an agenda for the next week, and then enter notes into it about what happened, and then all that's saved back to TouchStone. So you can go and access that information if you need to remember what you did with the employee 6 months ago, or if your manager is wondering how your meetings are going, they can go and look at those forms. Another way, I'm just going to delete this form. Another way a purpose or reason to use the custom form tool is for testing. So here's something called a customer complaint new employee test. So the idea about a documented process is that the process is the training. So I get this question a lot, like, well, where do I put my training processes, or do I need to add a process for training for this? And the answer is no, because the process is the training. So if I have a new employee and I want to teach them how to do customer complaints, I take them through the work plans. This is the training. You don't need to build something separate for the training. This is the training. I set them in front of this. I say, study this. Go through the tasks. Read them. Memorize them. Look at the checklist. Just think of the checklist boxes. Understand how you use it. Go through the scripts. Memorize the scripts. Study them. Then we can do practices with them or role plays with the scripts. When people memorize scripts, the point is not to make everyone sound like robots. It comes out in their own words. It's like they're memorizing the techniques. And so then you can practice it and study it. Have them listen to someone else running through a customer complaint. Look at the complaint form or any of the uploaded files that are used. Talk about how it's used. Any kind of documents that are used in the process. It should be clear how those are used, but they're studying it and learning it. They'd go to the customer complaint custom form here, and you would walk through with them how and when do you fill this out. That should be stated in the work plan, by the way. If you have a form of any kind in the process, there should be a task in the work plan where it says, fill out the customer complaint form. Make sure you do this, this, and this. And then you can even make a hyperlink to the form. But again, the work plan is the training. All these tools, all this documentation is the training for the process. So then at the end of it all, after they've studied it, learned it, they're spoken to about it, they've watched someone else do it, then give them a test. So this is just a quick example of what a test that you could give. For these tests, I like the paragraph with a question with a blank answer, just because it gets people thinking. When you have to write out an answer, it's much harder to do that than it is to just answer a multiple choice question right here. And theoretically, not theoretically, actually, they could go back and look at the work plan and then go and answer the question. But I think that's fine. It's like an open book test almost. But so when you're asking open-ended questions like what do you do? What do you do at the beginning of the customer complaint? Or what are warranty issues, or how do you determine what is a warranty issue? They're going to have to write it out in their own words. Now, they could go back and review the warranty policy and remind themselves of what it is, which is fine, but they're filling it out and putting it into their own words, and then you talk to them about it. So think about this as an idea, using the custom form for testing that you could test new employees with. Next tool down here is called a policy note. And to build a policy note, you just click the title here, same as the other tools, put in the name, hit create. This one's called the warranty and guarantee policy. To fill in these fields, you just click them, and then you can fill out the field here. So in the statement, you want the from, who it's to, the date, and the effective date. So that's just common policy formatting. From should be one employee or one position to another. It shouldn't be somebody's name. So this should be from management to all salespeople, or from the customer service manager to customer service employees. Then the date is the date the policy was created, and the effective date could be, a week later, whatever you think is reasonable. So when you're documenting it, when you create a new policy, the idea would be to document the policy in the policy template, go and email out to everyone, hey, there's a new warranty policy in the customer complaints process. I want you all to go into your dashboard, review the policy, and then make a note that you've read it. And I'll show you how they would do that in the dashboard. But that's a way to make sure that people are recognizing and seeing that there are new policies, and you can give them like 5 days to do it in. You can put whether it's new or revised, and then here in the policy statement, this is where you would write out the policy. With policies, make the title brief, like warranty and guarantee, and then go and put the details of what the policy here is here in the text field. So not every process has a policy. You want to reserve this for things that are just of the utmost of importance. So things that are legal or compliance or safety related. Rules that you have, if you're the owner of the company or a manager of a department, things that you believe are just absolute rules about your business, ways you want customers treated, ways you want employees thinking, management philosophy ideas, things you want, how you want employees treated. In this customer complaint process, this is kind of a clear kind of policy. Warranty, what is a warranty versus what is somebody making a mistake. But maybe it's really important to you that every customer gets a 100% refund if they're not happy. So that could be a customer complaint policy. Not every business can do that, but a lot of businesses can. They can have a guarantee, 100% guarantee within the first month or for that particular product. So think about what these policies mean to you. I see in a lot of businesses where they have policy manuals, and they're just like these big long lists of rules about the business. What's wrong with that, or how that doesn't work, is when an employee is looking at just a big long list of policies, you could make them memorize them, but unless there's context for it, then oftentimes people will forget. As opposed to if the policy for customer complaints is inside the process for customer complaints, now I have context for it, so I understand how to use it. I'm here in this process, running through it, and I can see if there's a rule about complaints, it's right there. Now, every business will have HR policies, which exist in an employee handbook. So I'm not talking about things like that, like sexual harassment and smoking and chewing gum and dress codes, stuff like that. That's like employee handbook type policies. But policies that are related to your processes that are run in the business, put them inside that process. And employees will follow them much better and easier because they see right where it is. Policies are also another way to affect change in your business. So if you have like a lingering frustration or a problem that's been occurring, or some kind of a mindset or a company culture that's been created by a negative employee or a bad manager. Bad management is where I see this the most. So a whole department or a group of people have been affected by a bad manager. And then that mindset and that negativity is like, now it permeates that department. So the first thing to do is to make sure you have a process for whatever it is that's happening. And then have a policy. Put a policy in, and then disseminate it out to all the employees and make it like a rule. Make it like a line in the sand. This will no longer happen. This will no longer be tolerated. This is extremely effective when there's been a bad manager and he's been, he or she has been treating employees poorly, you can create a policy inside of your management procedures or inside of your meeting procedures that says, abuse or verbal abuse from any employee is never to be tolerated, something like that. Then it kind of lets the employees know that you're listening, and there's the line in the sand. Another more practical thing another example might be for, employee lateness or people showing up to meetings late. Put a policy in place and say employee lateness, meeting starting late or employee lateness will no longer be tolerated. And then refer to the employee lateness process, and then follow through on it. So think about this idea, if you have frustrations like that, of putting a policy in place and kind of ending it once and for all. Next tool down here is the video tool. So this video uploader will allow you to take videos and upload them to the process. So this is like a video called Customer Complaint, and this video lives right here inside of TouchStone. It's not a link to something else. It's literally right here in TouchStone. So to upload a video, you just give the video a name, and then you hit Choose File, and then you're going to go, I don't know if I have a video here. You're going to go to, if you have your video on your computer, and you click the video, and then you hit Open. And then the video starts to load. So this video, I don't know what this video is, but it's looking to me like it's a long video. So it may, if this video, it's 2% now. If this video is 30 minutes long, say, it's going to take about 10 minutes for it to upload initially. So when you first upload it, it's going to take about 10 or 15 minutes to upload if it's a big video. Once it's uploaded, then there's no delay time. It's in TouchStone. You hit the play button and it plays. So if you're uploading a lot of videos, a technique is to open TouchStone in another browser, like in Firefox, and then have the videos uploading there. And then you can open up TouchStone in Chrome, and you can be doing whatever else you want into it with it while the videos are uploading. So the video will upload. This line will turn green all the way. It'll say complete, and then you want to save it. Save the video, and then it saves it back to TouchStone. I'm going to go back here for a second. Once you have a video in TouchStone, so we'll go to this video right here, you can download the video using this download button. So it's not going to delete the video from TouchStone. It's going to download it back to your computer, so you have a copy of it on your computer. You can move the video around. This icon is the same as it is on the other process tool, so I could take it out of this process and move it to another one. This is the download button right here. This is the upload button. And then you can archive it. Archiving videos is good because you can then see the versions of your videos. And then this is the delete button. So you can upload videos, and these are for training purposes, mostly. For your videos, you can use your phone and shoot a video, and then save that video to your computer and then upload it to TouchStone. You can do screen capture videos like I talked about in Jing. So this is the Jing tool again. And I shoot this little video capture, and then it's counting down. And if I have my mic to my computer, then I'm talking into it. I'm saying, click here, open this, do this, and I'm showing a visual of the process. And then I can either, in Jing, use the screencast button. So here you have an option of creating via screencast, and I could make it a link, or I could download this video and then actually upload it to the video tool. So if the process is visual in nature, then shoot a video for it. I mean, if it's something that you can see, then shoot a video. Use your phone, use a recording device of any kind, and just create a little training video. I think people get hung up on the idea that the videos have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect. They shouldn't be perfect because they're going to change and you're going to make them better. If you spend thousands of dollars making some big Hollywood production, next month's going to roll around and you're going to want to add something to it. So make these ad hoc, make them easy, make them fun. Shoot a video of yourself talking about the company. Little things like that can make your documentation more interesting. And in the learning process in adult education, and I'm a adjunct faculty at one of the universities, and so we talk about this a lot. You have a textbook that students study, adults study, and that's the work plans right here. You give lectures, which is the manager teaching it, talking about it, showing it, and then you implement visual when you can, like a video, someone talking about it. So you're engaging all the different avenues of learning for adults by reading, watching, listening. So use videos when you can. Keep the videos short. That's another suggestion. Don't make more than like 10 or 15-minute videos, because the minute they go past that amount of time, you've kind of lost the person. So short little snippets are better than big, long, hour-long videos. Now, having preached the goodness of videos, I do have to say that if a process is documented and all it is a video, then that's not good enough. So don't think that you can go and just shoot a screen capture video and then boom, the process is documented and we're done. The issue with that is if someone's watching a video and you're trying to teach them steps, what if I forget step number 5 when I'm actually doing it? Well, then am I going to rewind the video and then listen to you say step 5 and then, where was step 1? It just doesn't work well enough. So you need the work plan first. And in a way, once you document the work plan, it becomes like a script for your video almost, the step-by-step for your video, and then shoot the video. Audio, which is next down here on the list, is the same idea except for just a flat MP3 file. So audio is for, I think any time a process has a script in it, if it's going to be thoroughly documented, there should be some audio files. And it should be a role play of somebody actually using that script or answering those questions. I love this technique where you can have the customer complaint resolution example. So this is like a phone call of somebody going through a customer complaint. And then you can have a what not to do, an example of how not to do it. This can be very effective because employees can hear when they're doing it the wrong way how it sounds, and they remember that. So use audio whenever you can. Every single smartphone in the world now has a recording device, or there's apps you can download, super easy. So your phone can be, we don't need recorders anymore. Your phone can record whatever it is you want to record. You can even have your phone record a telephone conversation just by holding it to the phone. So remember that. Make it easy. So I see your questions, John. I'm going to answer them real quickly, and then I'm going to get to one example. Is it better to use Firefox or Chrome? Chrome is always better for downloading or uploading videos. For everything in TouchStone, Chrome is always better. We always stay 100% Chrome compliant first, and then we always strive to be Firefox compliant as well. i.e., we're kind of, Internet Explorer, we're kind of doing away with that over time. And it's just because Microsoft is just so willy-nilly about how they change their browser that it affects web tools, and it makes lots of bugs that are just hard to keep on top of. So Chrome number 1, then Firefox. And then John's also asking another great question about YouTube. If you have a YouTube video, you can always download that video. Let me do it another way. You can always download the video, or you can make a link to it. So you can go create the link word, and then you highlight the link word, and then you go to the Hyperlink Tool, and then write an external link. You put in the URL of the YouTube video. So inside of YouTube, there's a place where you can get the URL. You can either copy it right from the address bar, or there's another way you can get the URL, but copying it from the address bar is fine, and then paste it right into this URL and hit insert. And then this word will take that person to the YouTube video. So that's one way to do it. If you can download YouTube videos and then upload them to the video tool, you can do that as well. So here quickly, I know we're almost out of time and I've got other questions. We are out of time. I just want to show people, whoever has time to hang around, how to use the dashboard with some of the tools we've been talking about today. So this is Firefox. I just logged into Firefox. And this is what it looks like when the customer service person logs in. So if you have a customer service person, you assign them a control panel over in account administration for the customer service position on the org chart. And when they log in, this is what they see. They'd click on their control panel button, and now I'm seeing all the processes that I'm responsible for. All these processes came from the job description for customer service. So whatever you as the manager or whoever's been building TouchStone, whoever built the job descriptions, assigned these processes to that position. And when I log in as a customer service person, I'm seeing all these processes. You can have 5 customer service people, and as long as they all have separate usernames and passwords, when they log in, they'll see the same processes, the same content, but they're seeing, when they go to those processes and use them for training or they're filling out forms, it's all unique to them. So here's that customer complaint process. So if I go to this, now I'm seeing all the tools for how to do customer complaints. Here's the scripts. If I need to go to the frequently asked questions script just to remind myself, I can click right here and see it. If I've been trained this way, which is a good idea, and I've been told if I get a question that's not on the script to always put it in, then I can save this as look at this for my manager. And then I can go in the notes field and put in new question and how I answered it. And then I save it, and now it's saved it back to TouchStone. And when my manager goes and runs a report, they're going to see it. So that's a good way of like quickly getting people to like add new questions that they're seeing. If a process has a lot of tools in it like this one, and I'm really only interested in the custom form, I can collapse all of these. Now I see these would not appear if these tools weren't being used, but I could go right here to this custom form. Here's the customer complaint form. And so these fields are all live now. And when I fill all these out, put in the phone number, address, fill out the entire form, action taken, and hit save, then this is saved back to TouchStone. I can even put in the save as the client's name, so it's easy to, why can't I not type today? So it's easy to see when I'm running a report, the client's name. Once something is saved, it can also be printed. So here's this print button. It'll export it to a PDF, and you can see the form in a PDF if you want to print it. Don't print unless you have to, but if you have to, here's that print button. So let's talk about just here, this will only take like 2 minutes, a rough example of like how to do new employee training in TouchStone. Every single one of these processes contains the information that the employee needs to be trained on. So you can request your employees go to every process one at a time, start with customer complaints, read the work plan, go through, study it, understand it, and then they save it. Then go to the next work plan, read it, study it, understand it, then they save it. So I'm indicating to you that I've read and studied this. Go down to a policy note. Here's that warranty policy. Right here, read and agree. Why is this useful? It's useful because if this policy ever gets violated or this employee claims they didn't know what was in this policy, well, you have a date and time stamp right here saying when they read and agreed to it. So then the conversation becomes about what's real, like what's really going on. Do you just not remember? Why is it hard? Rather than, well, I didn't read it, I never saw it. If there's a video in the process, you can ask them to watch the video and then save it or put into the actual save as that they've watched it. Same with audio files. So the employees going through all of these tools, studying them, reading them, learning them. Then the manager, so I'm back in my account now, and I'm the manager of marketing and sales, and I see Mary right down here. She's the customer service person. So I'd say, I wonder if Mary's done the training I asked her to do on her customer complaint process. So now I'm looking at Mary's control panel, the one we were just in, and I go to customer complaints, and I can look here in this folder, and I can say, oh yeah, she watched that, she read the video. I can also run a report and see all of this, but I can see it right here inside of her, her information or of the process. I can go down and see if she did the test. So here's the employee test down here that I can review and see that she actually did it. I can make training notes. So here under this customer complaint process, if I click this, I can go down and make notes about her training and save these notes back to TouchStone. When I'm happy with that she's been trained, she's passed the test, she studied it all, she did it all, I can flip this flag that says train all. And it puts these little green check marks next to the processes, which lets me know when I'm looking at it that she's trained with this little green check mark. And when she goes in, refresh this screen, she'll also see the green check marks, which lets her know that I've said, yep, you're trained, you did it. So think about this, as a way of using your documentation more. Make sure every employee is trained, have them follow it. Definitely use it for new employee training. I mean, this is one of your biggest assets for new employee training. And remember, you can check people and mark them as trained in things, which is assigned to everyone that they have been trained, which gives you power as a manager.